Good evening, everyone. It is I, Adrian J. Williams, and tonight I'm here from our studio, here in London. So tonight, or today rather, we have seen tensions rise between the United Kingdom and the Republic of Ireland, following a breakdown in relations between the two countries. So we shall see what has happened between these nations and what's going to happen between the two of them there. Well, it's not the first time tensions have risen between the two nations because I remember about it's as long as 3 years ago now, 2022, there was the war between Northern Ireland and Southern Ireland, or the Republic of Ireland. And I was actually there serving within the Household Cavalry when that occurred. So it'll be interesting to see whether things mirror the events of that time. So, for those of you who are unaware, earlier today at 20 past 11, Downing Street issued a statement from the Prime Minister in which he outlined that the United Kingdom would be withdrawing from the July agreement that was made in July, which I was not around in the United Kingdom in July. I'd sort of been on a little break for that point, but I'm assuming it's somewhat similar to the sort of real life Good Friday Agreement. So I'm assuming it's some sort of ceasefire between paramilitary groups or tensions between the Republic of Ireland and Southern Ireland. But anyway, so the United Kingdom has now withdrawn from the agreement. And the Prime Minister cited repeated attempts by the Taoiseach, which is obviously Leah NVX, to sow division, chaos, and instability, allegedly, within our great country and her own failing government, says these are the Prime Minister's words. Apparently, these reckless actions have left the Prime Minister with no choice, according to his statement. So, the border has been shut between Northern Ireland and what the Prime Minister calls soon to be Western Britain. Now, what does this indicate? Well, this means we could very well see a British invasion of Republic of Ireland. Now, this is something that's happened before. As I said earlier, we had the war between Northern and Southern Ireland about 3 years ago, of which I was in the Household Cavalry, working in armoured scimitar vehicles, light reconnaissance vehicles, and we would sort of frequently make little trips over the border into Southern Ireland and sort of pin down their base they had there for the Irish Defence Force and just absolutely shell it to bits with HE explosives. And likewise, they would come over our border and sort of fight back. But it was a constant sort of fight there between the British Armed Forces and the Irish Defence Force. And it was never really clear as to who won, because I think both sides declared that they won, and that's when we fell out, because it was a different group back then. But anyway, so it does look like the Prime Minister is wanting to sort of relaunch a second invasion into Southern Ireland. I believe there was a previous conflict as well several years ago, but that was sort of before my time within the community. But I remember hearing about that from various veterans within the Household Cavalry at the time. However, so it sounds like we're going to be that might potentially be something we're seeing, is we could see all-out war with the Republic of Ireland, and given that the government has risen the national threat level to critical, this is highly likely that we will be expecting some form of conflict between the two nations in a military sort of capacity, shall we say. So not only this, but they'll also be working with the British Armed Forces. There was a meeting between the Prime Minister and the Chief of Defence Staff earlier today to fully secure the border, apparently allegedly, using the armed forces. So that what this means is essentially we will likely see sort of border patrols by the military working closely with law enforcement, which is sort of how it has historically worked. If I was back when I was in the Household Cavalry and subsequently the Grenadier Guards, we would frequently deploy to Northern Ireland and we would frequently patrol the area. However, obviously the border was open, so people would be allowed to cross over. However, it was shut, so then we basically shoot anyone who comes over. So I'm assuming it's going to be working somewhat similar to that, but in more of a formalised sort of regard there. And apparently a special border task force will be established. This is something new, I haven't seen this before, to end illegal migration from Ireland once and for all, says the Prime Minister. So it also looks like counter-terrorism units and special border agents will also be set up with operations to identify and detain nationalist sympathisers, so Irish nationalist sympathisers, of course, that seek to threaten the safety and unity of the United Kingdom, sort of continues the Prime Minister here. Apparently a new state-of-the-art secure facility will be set up located within Grimsby to hold these prisoners that they take on board there, and also looks like they're going to be cracking down on Irish diplomats within the UK. A lot of this letter does seem satire to some extent, sort of from this point onwards. But the one thing that does seem clear is that we will be seeing military intervention within Ireland, between the Republic of Ireland and Northern Ireland. So it does seem that things are, of course, headed that way. I've already approached the Secretary of State, sorry, not the Secretary, I've already approached the TAOSAC for comment. However, apparently this has been stated in some Irish stage channel on their Discord server, so I have no idea what's going on there. I've got, hang on, 2 requests here to come on stage. I'll speak to you two in a minute, hang on. So that is where things are at the minute. So as I said earlier, there can be some parallels drawn here between the previous conflict. So for those of you who are unaware, because this is going back 3 years, back to my time within the cavalry, it followed shortly after the Biot sort of disagreement, where a bunch of people ended up leaving the UK, although many have subsequently returned, such as Speaker of the House of Commons, Dean Heathcote, who I've interviewed previously, back when I had my previous company, as a prime example, who was the then Prime Minister. And so there was this big departure from the UK over some disagreement as to who the Chief of Defence Staff should be, and other things as well. But that's sort of put simply, and then the Northern Ireland War followed shortly after that, and a lot of these people from Wyatt sort of moved over to Ireland, and there was this big war between the two nations before the groups physically fell out, and Ireland claimed the UK as its own, and claimed Northern Ireland as its own, and the UK claimed Republic of Ireland as its own, and it was never really sort of resolved until a new island group was brought in, although I think a different one came in to replace that. Subsequently after that, but again, it's a different situation here. But apparently, I think I can't really see a clear reason as to why this war has been started. But it looks like there's sort of high tensions between the government and the government of Ireland there as well, and apparently also due to comments made against the royal family, which is something I've heard about previously as well. We will be taking people joining, dial-ins, so if you are interested on coming in, make sure to join the Discord server and join the dial-ins channel, and give me a ping in the server as well. And if you're interested in chatting for a little bit, feel free to do that, and we'll bring you on in a minute as well. If you can say who you are as well, that would be great, so I can see who's wanting to join there and what your position is. But that's where we are with things at the minute. So yeah, again, clear parallels there between now and 3 years ago. Again, another thing that's very interesting to see as well is how this will affect the government's popularity. I seem to remember when the previous war occurred, the sort of incoming new government that had just taken over from Bart, which was headed by, previously he was known as Schiffer, but now he's obviously David Rothschild, as the Prime Minister of the time, became very popular. I believe it was the Conservative and Unionist merger coalition thingy that ended up in a merger between the parties. And they became extremely popular at the time, and sort of won subsequent elections for their decisive leadership. And I think we're likely to see a similar repetition of this with the respective Greg's government, and the fact that it does comprise of similar individuals. Obviously, David there being, I believe, within the cabinet for their government, and obviously Michael being a sort of a key leader who's always been at the forefront of British politics, and I believe was involved with the government at the time during that conflict. It does seem that I think that the approval of the Greg's government is likely to go up, especially given that it seems to be quite decisive in terms of what what they're doing here. I mean, they've quite clearly come out with a very informative, decisive statement here from the Prime Minister. So it'll be interesting to see where things go. And I think a leader of the UK during a conflict, which, if it goes successful, will obviously boost the government's standing. However, if things don't quite head that way, then I don't know, it might backfire on them. But it could potentially be a popularity booster, for sure. Yes, I am looking at the chat, whoever that is trying to speak to me at the minute. But sort of only somewhat every now and then. I'm looking at many things. But yes, it's highly likely that we will see an increase in popularity for the government at the minute as well. Hang on, sorry, I'm just replying to someone who has messaged me about coming on the show. And because we should hopefully be bringing some people on. And if you are interested in coming in, of course, feel free to join the Discord server and give me a ping and join the dial-in channel, and we can drag you onto a voice chat channel, and we can bring you on for a little bit as well. But yeah, it's certainly interesting to see things happening again from a conflict point of view, and it will be interesting to see how it repeats the what do you call it, the previous conflicts from last, or not last year, 3 years. Yeah. Right. What was I going to talk about? God. But yeah, government popularity likely to go up, definitely. And also for those who are serving in the British Armed Forces as well, they can expect this to be a sort of fun time. I know it's a little bit sort of conflicting with the idea of, in reality it would be, military be off to war, but in here, because obviously it's regular, it's just fun really. So it will definitely be an interesting event for those in the armed forces. And I remember from my time back in the Northern Ireland War of 2022, I believe it was over half term as well, so it was just sort of gave everyone something to do. It was a lot of fun. And so I'm sure anyone currently serving in the armed forces, if you're listening, you're in for a hell of a good time coming up soon, guys. It is certainly quite a lot of fun when things head that way. But yeah, it will be interesting to see how things go, so to speak. Yeah. Yeah, definitely interesting to see how things go. Right, we should hopefully be having someone joining. Oh, well, they can't join the voice chat. Let me have a look at why that is. This server was only set up somewhat recently, so bear with if there's problems. So you might need to verify with the the blocks link in the verifications channel. If you are wanting to come on, of course, link in the description to the Discord server. Join that. Give me a ping and join the Darlings channel, and I'll bring you up. But yeah, anyway. Anyway, if you've got anything to, because again, this is my knowledge of Northern Ireland and Irish relations is up to this point has been relatively limited. I'm of course aware that there has been sort of tensions between the government and sort of the Northern Irish, more certain groups within Northern Ireland for some time. Obviously, there being a petition by the current Taoiseach of Northern Ireland, sort of Republic of Ireland, which is also the leader of the I forgot the name of it. It's the minority party within the Northern Irish Council at the moment, and they are essentially right, so I'm having some difficulties there with my person trying to come on, but it should be the Dial-ins channel, which you should be able to view if you are verified with Blocks link. If not, make sure to do that. Anyway, sorry, continue on from where I was. They're the leader. Leah is the leader of the minority party within the Middletown Council. We should be bringing our person on a minute, but just in a minute. And that is essentially, she's the leader of the minority party. And recently there was a disagreement because over the budget between or given to Northern Ireland, which the mayor of Middletown, who's obviously the leader of the Northern Irish Unionist Party, has disagreed with the government over as well. And basically the government in its budget did not allocate any funds to Northern Ireland to do stuff there. So they felt that the government has sort of neglected the Northern Irish and Irish community, so to speak. Anyway, bringing on now as a dial-in, we have Mr. Bruce is May 22. I'm just going to drag them up into the studio. All right, hello. I cannot hear you for some reason. Figure out why that is. Right, I'm not sure why that's doing that. Right, try speaking. Can you hear me at least? Apparently not. That is not how it's pronounced. What is not how what is pronounced, Lewis? I do apologise for any mispronunciations, of course, but yeah, that does happen, especially if it's sort of Northern Irish or Irish wording.
Hello.
Hello. Right, I can hear you now. Brilliant. Good to have you on. This is for everyone, all the viewers. This is Mr. Bruce is May 22 here in the studio with me as a dial-in. So tell me a little bit about yourself and your role within the United Kingdom, because I'm not entirely knowledgeable. And I want to introduce yourself to our audience.
My name is Mr. Bruce. I was a former MP for Solidarity, formerly Pirates, and formerly Nationals, but I am actually a Irish senator.
Ah, I see. So quite a bit of parliamentary experience there within the UK, and also Ireland itself. So what's your sort of take on the whole thing then? Is there anything that what's your take on it?
First off, it's not pronounced Taoiseach. It's pronounced Taoiseach, as the Irish Prime Minister had to correct you.
Yeah, no worries. There will be some
but
mystery negotiations there.
I think I think it's an absolute political stunt that's happening right now because we're seeing Michael Rothschild say put the national level, well, threat level at critical. There is nothing to be critical of. I mean, there's been some disagreements with the government of the United Kingdom, but honestly, there is not no violence in Northern Ireland. There's no terrorism in Northern Ireland. I just Michael Rothschild is using this because he knows that his government isn't all that popular. And honestly, it's an absolute disgrace. In my role in Ireland as a senator, and I have called a special parliamentary meeting with other senators to discuss about this crisis. But we're open to negotiating with the United Kingdom for a better and fairer deal for both sides. But of course, Michael Rothschild has made it quite clear that he's refusing to negotiate.
Right. Okay. So that's very interesting to that. I mean, to be honest, I could sort of see that in some ways that it could potentially be a potential
Yeah,
publicity stunt as I was analysing it earlier. Obviously, making comparisons to the, I believe it was the Conservative and Unionist government of 2022 with their massive boost in popularity following the
and
war at the time.
they did this back with Harold. Harold did this too, and instead of talking with the Irish government, he just went in and sent troops to the Roscommon border. And do you know what he did, William? Do you know what he did?
No, I was. Oh, I don't think this was when I was in the UK at this point. So, continue.
It was Harold Rothschild was prime minister when the first, when the July agreement was about to be signed, and during the crisis back in July, British soldiers shot Irish civilians in Northern Ireland when they tried to cross the border because, honestly, it's a disgusting appeal that Britain can just unilaterally pull out of a treaty that has benefited both nations peacefully because both servers have gained large numbers. I mean, I'm in both servers and I'm probably going to be called a traitor after this, but honestly, I have to stand my ground here. Britain is in the wrong party, sorry, is in the wrong position at the moment because, Michael's doing this just for publicity, son, William.
Yeah, I can definitely see that as well. And I think what it comes down to partly is, well, not really what it comes down to, but something I've definitely noticed as a trend is when these things sort of do happen, there's a massive boost in activity between it sort of in Middletown and on the
Yeah.
in game for some
Hmm.
time, and then once it's all sort of quieting down, it goes dead because no one gets on anymore, and there's no sort of bilateral
Well, look,
sort of
William,
movement to try and get people playing together in the game. It's just people falling out, and now then there's like a problem between the groups.
William, I think, bringing activity to a server is good. And, crises are always fun. But when the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom makes false allegations, just like George W. Bush, I have to say that's not very, I don't see how that's honestly any good to the servers. He's promoting divisions because in political discussions all afternoon, it's we're going to bomb Ireland, we're going to invade Ireland, all the Irish people are bad. But what about us? I mean, look, I have been an MP before. I know been in Ireland before, and I know that there is a fragile piece, and Michael Rothschild has literally blown it away, just like the U.S. blew up Nagasaki and Hiroshima.
Yeah, very interesting that as well. So just because obviously in your position you have a bit more understanding of as to the relations between
Yeah,
the two countries,
yeah.
for like anyone that's sort of confused about, it, especially myself, what's sort of the disagreement here to begin with anyway? Like why has tensions between the two nations risen to begin with?
Well, look, I mean, don't really know, to be honest. I don't know what the personal disagreements were between Leah and Michael. I'm not a part of the government. I'm actually a part of the opposition.
Right.
And but I know that Michael has said that there are terroristic elements threatening Northern Irish security. And I have to say, I'm on Roscommon a lot, and there is no terrorist threat. There is none. So honestly, I don't really know what the hell Michael's doing, but you can't just claim something's there when there isn't, and then just raise the national level to a critical and then threaten to invade Ireland when he said we're going to make, and then we're going to call it West Ireland, as West UK. That's what he said in his statement, as you remember, William.
Mm.
And as a senator, I have to say that, Ireland is always open to negotiating. That's true. But when you're coming after us without any evidence, just blatantly lying and then rallying the country behind you, and then, all of it will lead to eventual peace, what's the point, William? I mean, things didn't look as bad. I mean, look, I disagree with the Irish Taoiseach, don't get me wrong, but there was no signs of any disapproval or any huge provocation coming. This was a complete shock and surprise to everyone, including myself.
No, definitely. I think it's definitely coming from an element of a publicity boost here, and probably also more of a
Honestly,
personal disagreement
yeah,
between the leaders as well. There's probably like
yeah. I
a
mean, look,
disliking
and
between them.
in Ireland, we have seen our Prime Minister, Leah, had made a statement, but of course, it was just we're going to bow down and let them do this to us, which I find completely disgraceful, to be honest. Look, Ireland should be ready to stand up for what is right, and if we're def- and I think when we are seeing a nation like the United Kingdom threaten us because they got bored. I
Mm.
mean, what exactly is that going to achieve? Look, I'm in both servers. I've been an MP in both, um, and I'm in the upper house in Ireland, and I know that Michael and the Unionist Party have done this before. I mean, yes, Michael is in a new party called Greg's, but it still has every bit of Unionist blood that it had when he left. And I have no idea if Michael M. Rothschild is doing this for publicity stunt. I don't know. But the point is, I think he should resign because he's an absolute disgrace to this nation. He really is.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think it's definitely plausible to be honest that it is a publicity. I mean, if we look as well, you know, he's not had a good time in government so far, has he? I mean, he couldn't even get his
He
own
lost his
budget
first
passed.
budget.
Yeah, yeah.
His coalition partner has kicked out senior members, including myself, because my PC crashed, and I was then thrown out of the party, and said me and some other person were plotting a coup. There's no truth to this, William. I have to make it clear. I mean, I really like the show. I always watch it. I always tune in. The problem is the facts aren't being good, and the government likes to make up stories. Kota is the most, he's absolutely, what's the word for it? I can't really remember. Obsessed that there's someone trying to bring him down, but there
That's
isn't.
that's
So this
interesting as well
government,
because I didn't even know. I mean, I've sort of only been roughly following
yeah,
news over the past week or so and beyond because I've been sort of busy with my own sort of personal life. But I wasn't
okay.
entirely aware of the falling out there within the Solidarity Party crumbling in on itself. Would you say that there's some sort of it's sort of selling itself out in a way to maintain that relationship with the Greg's Party, sort of stay in
Oh,
governmental
absolutely,
office?
absolutely. I was a vocal opponent to the coalition, like a few others, and we were told that if we said anything bad about, and I went on to Dean's show, saying, when we saw Greg's attendance fall in Parliament, I said, look, it needs to be this, and we need to talk about how we're going to deal with this. And then Kota, instead of actually fixing the problem, just went to Michael and say, "Hey, bro, can you fix it?" Then, and he believes every word Michael is saying to him. Like William, he's a puppet of Michael Rothschild. I was kicked out because I was saying what I believed was right, in, and honestly, the truth. Solidarity has sold himself out to be in government, and Coach has sold himself out to Michael Rothschild just to be in government 24/7. And if anyone does plan to vote in the next election, don't vote for the Gregs or Solidarity because they will just coalition with each other again. There hasn't been a differing government since almost December of last year, so almost a whole year ago, William. It's always
Mm.
been a unionist leader. Has almost 99% unionists. You have Solidarity that came, well, they're former pirates, but it's been almost an entire unionist dictatorship for almost a year.
Wow, okay. I didn't realize that it hadn't changed at all because I remember when last
Yeah.
evolved within the UK, I sort of had Williams Media running, and then I sort of got busy with stuff around January time. So I remember it was Michael as Prime Minister there with the Unionists back then. And even
Mhm.
then there was problems there with Michael and the Unionists. Um, and I remember that was when Dean was coming back with to lead the Social Democrats and so on. But I didn't realise
Mhm.
that the government has like barely changed at all since then.
It has not changed, William. And the sad part is that I was removed and fired because my PC crashed during two votes last week. My PC is very shitty. I'm gonna give you that. But it crashed, and Coda then believed I was trying to, undermine the government. Now, William, does that sound like I'm undermining the government if I can't control my PC? I mean,
Oh,
I was removed.
that rings a bell now. I think I remember hearing about that incident when it happened. Yeah,
Yeah,
I will say that. Yeah, I mean, having been an instructor within the British Armed Forces, within the Household Cavalry, within the Grenadier Guards, I'm very familiar with people dropping out because their computer has crashed. It's just a fact of life. Unfortunately, there's not much you
yeah.
can do about it.
And he didn't,
Um,
and then during the budget vote, he believed Michael M. Rothschild over his own MPs and said basically that I had with my PC crashed during the budget vote. It crashes regularly. I
mm,
have to my PC crashed just while I was trying to get on to my you know interview with you. But and I told Coda and many other people vouched for me. But instead, Michael M. Rothschild told him that I had voted no, which is not true, and he just believed him without any evidence. I mean, Kota is a rage baiting racist. Let's let's not forget that. He actually said the N word and was banned for almost 6 months. And now
mm.
he's in the top epsilons of government. So you tell me, William, does that really sound prime ministerial from this entire government?
No, it's definitely interesting. I don't think things are heading in the right direction now. I think
No.
that might be the opinion of many people. I mean, it was interesting to see though the BBC's opinion polling, which still shows that the Greg's party is still very much in the lead in terms of its popularity, and I mean, Solidarity is right at
But
the bottom there.
if you
But
look at the Greg's look, I get that completely. And honestly, the polls are just filled with Greg supporters, and they just flood it. And we shouldn't trust polls. I mean, look, we all back in November of last year, it had the Unionists winning, and do you know what happened? The Soc Dems won in a landslide. I mean, they didn't win a majority, but they still trounced Michael and Rothschild, and I hope that will happen in the next election. Because honestly, at this point, I'd rather vote for a unionist than vote for a Greg's because Greg's is just the worst version of the unionists. I mean, under, Michael M. Rothschild's former leadership, he basically did nothing. The unionists never do anything. And then they just expect everyone to like them and immediately agree. And then instead, and in debates, they are always like, oh, these guys are idiots because, they've actually done something. I mean, honestly, the sheer arrogance from both Kota and you know Michael is astounding. They think they are the only ones deserving of the prime ministerial. I think it's just an embarrassment. They're still PM and deputy PM, respectively. But if anyone has sheer conscience, look, I'm not saying the British people are making a mistake by voting for their parties. It's really up to you. But if you feel that the country's going in the wrong direction, don't vote Solidarity. Don't vote Greg's. I'd say vote for either Nationals, Sockdams, or Unionists. But if there was a hung parliament, I guarantee you that the next government will be a three-party coalition.
mm, that's definitely interesting to hear. Um, no, I think as well from my analysis of having been in the UK for some time.
So,
We've had the Conservatives, which then became the Unionists, and obviously now,
yeah.
well, the Unionists still exist, but they've all hot shipped over to Greg's. There's always been something slightly, a bit of satire there with the sort of main forefront figures there with the Rothschilds and the likes of that. Um, you know, I mean,
No.
Greg, the name itself, the Greg's Party, is pure satire within itself. I mean, you've got a
Yeah,
party named after a, you know, pastries company. You know, I mean, I know it's
yeah,
because
and
they
the
own
funny
it,
thing
but
is, the
it's
funny
sort
thing
of like
is,
an elite sort of boys club with a bunch of mates up at the top, and they all you know, give jobs to each other because they've got, you know, their own companies, everything. That's my analysis of
that's
how the government
basically
for
it. That is
last
basically
however
it,
long it's been running,
William.
and
That's basically it. And
mm,
can
sorry.
I ask, can I just add that there in the entire time I've been in this server since August of last year, I have never once seen anyone else but their friends getting in. So you have Marcus Stuyvesant in the Unionists, who I respect, and because he is a good person in the Unionists, as I'm being told. But instead of that, he's being when when Michael was being replaced, they just put in someone they were close to. So it's basically a boys' club where they basically kick out anyone that's competent and replace them with loyalists. And then when a leader just gives up and doesn't want to lead anymore, instead of putting in a competent person, you just put in the next best option, your best friend in the party. Now that's wrong, and the Rothschilds have a monopoly on power, William. They can never seem to let it go. And honestly, I think Sonnesant should be prime minister, to be honest.
Mm. No, it's yeah, it's funny because you seem because they have such influence over you know, things you know, Greg's as a company, for example, as well. There is an element of them being able to influence you know, voters' opinions as well, because they have
Yeah.
being able
Because
to
they're
have the
allowed.
thing they've
It's
always
the
been
only
the
reason.
thing they've always been very good at is engagement within Westbridge, which is where the majority of, you know, ordinary players lie. You know, just playing Westbridge for a bit of fun. And if they're obviously gonna, when it comes to elections, if they do vote, they're gonna vote for the party who owns the company that they work for. You know, or is engaging with the party that they aim for. I think their sort of Westbridge politics monopoly they've got there has always been one of their strong points from my analysis.
Yeah. Well, look, I think, I mean, I don't know if you know this, but when Solidarity got into coalition, we were a left wing party. Now it's a right wing dictatorship under a deranged lunatic. I mean, we've abandoned. Look, I love Solidarity as a project because I worked hard on it. I worked every day and night, making sure it was good, making sure we got competent people in high positions. And I did share when I was being kicked off the board. I shared evidence of my PC crashing. And do you know what happened? Do you want to have
Mm,
a guess?
mm.
They kicked me out anyway and refused to even acknowledge the evidence existed. I gave a detailed analogy. I shared pictures with my PC and what was wrong with it, but they ignored it. They just kicked me out. And I think it was all in the orders of Michael Rothschild. Why? He's never liked me, that's for sure.
Oh, I can
And,
tell why.
I'm, and, I've retired from politics. I'm not going to be trying to be an MP anymore. I'm more focused on my Irish political life now because I've actually made a difference there instead of being shut out. But I'm gonna say this that Michael Rothschild, Greg, and Solidarity, they've been in government for what 2 months, maybe. Or I mean, the election's coming up. That's for sure, William. And I'd say that I'd rather have Marcus Stuyvesant as an PM than Michael Rothschild. I mean, he's failed at everything they got. They failed to get the first budget.
Mm,
Some of their Lord's legislation's been put back, and you have their attendance was atrocious, atrocious
mm.
at the start of the session. So start of the year. So I don't know what to tell you.
No, I think it's been these premierships so far has been, you know, Lima scandals, and I think it's sort of the whole you know, Rothschild monopoly is it's gone on for a long time and it's starting to crumble, I think. Um, the other thing as well I've noticed is there's a lot of influence within the armed forces as well,
Mm,
between this group of politicians and the armed forces as well. Because again, it's as I said earlier, it's a, you know, it's a mates thing. You know, they pick their mates for certain things. If they can because they've been in power for so long, they've obviously established quite good relations there. So it's I don't know. That's I can definitely see. I think there's a bit of a overcross there, where technically speaking, there should be no cross contamination between politics and
Sorry,
the
I'm just
military.
getting some major news I would like to share since
Oh,
it's,
yeah, yeah.
apparently the United States is very concerned with the growing situation, and you know, and the president of the United States is apparently making a statement about it.
Oh, right,
I
okay.
don't know. I'm just sorry. I'm just getting my source here. But look, I mean, people from America have come in support of us because I think they understand that our country desperately needs to. I mean, Britain needs a wake up call.
Hmm.
Really does. And William, can I ask who you voted for last time?
Sorry.
Sorry, I'm asking who did you vote for last time?
Oh, me. I didn't vote because I wasn't. I hadn't come back to the UK by that point. I was still just barely touching Roblox. I hadn't voted.
Oh
Um,
well, I would suggest not voting for Greg's or
oh
Solidarity.
no, I've figured that. No, I will be voting. I don't know if I'm gonna say who, but it's definitely not those two. Um, mind you, I suppose I can say a little bit because this is a Williams TV is a little bit more, opinionated than my previous company, but um, you know, as I'm sure the viewers have by this point gathered, but yeah, yeah, things are going down the toilet, at least to say.
Yeah.
And I think it's funny. At first, I was taken in by the thing a little bit. Oh, okay, they're being quite decisive here with it, and this is the thing. A lot of people will be taken in by that. But when you look into it a little bit further, you know, the whole conflict here. I mean, I'm very much of the opinion that it's just a publicity stunt. I'm pretty sure that a lot of people who are, a bit more analytical of it and have a bit more historical pattern recognition within the UK. I don't know. Will realize that most of the time when a national crisis comes along, the government of the time, if it handles it effectively, becomes very popular. I mean, it's even you can even relate that to real life politics. I mean, the Conservative government under Maggie Thatcher. Well, that's why they
Mm.
had the election that year because she'd been popular because she took the Falkland Islands back. It's the same applies to Roblox as well. Back when Northern Ireland kicked off 3 years ago, the that's sort of when I think you could sort of trace the Rothschild empire to its beginnings was David Rothschild's popularity because of how he handled the war with Ireland, and it was seen as very patriotic and all the rest of it. But and the context behind that was also a little bit different as well. I think that was a bit more justified back then. But really, if you take into consideration the politics here and the fact that well, from what I can gather from yourself,
Oh, I'm
just seems
sorry,
to
but
be
there's
like a
actually the
diplomatic
Republic of
breakdown.
Bosnia actually wrote a statement about the crisis.
Oh, sorry, can you repeat that again?
The Republic of Bosnia actually made a quick announcement on, the current threat with Ireland. Would you like me to read it?
Yeah, yeah.
In in its statement, the government of Bosnia and Herzegovina call on the government of the United Kingdom to stop using warmongering rhetoric against the Republic of Ireland. Whenever the UK government is in crisis due to low approval rating, they start with a story about the war against Ireland and how British interests in Northern Ireland are supposedly threatened. Until now, the government of Bosnia and Herzegovina has supported the UK government, but now it has become too much. Such behavior of the UK government only harms the further relationship between the United Kingdom and the Republic of Ireland, which has done absolutely nothing to promote the United Kingdom. The government of Bosnia and Herzegovina maintained that the aggressive policy of the United Kingdom's government towards the Republic of Ireland came, came as a result of the decline in the rating of the UK Prime Minister, who did not fulfill anything he promised to the British people. The Prime Minister of the United Kingdom is making fools of the British. And that is why the government of Bosnia and Herzegovina calls for the government of the UK to immediately apologize to the Republic of Ireland for the aggressive threats made by the government of the UK.
Hmm. Uh, that's very interesting to hear that as well, because evidently it's not just me that is beginning to catch on that this is a publicity stunt. Governments are figuring that one out as well. So, to me, I
Yeah.
think it's quite obvious to myself and I'm sure many others that is this genuinely a diplomatic necessity, or is this just designed to boost a failing government
No,
at polls?
no.
I think
It
the
is
latter's very much the
basically
case there.
it's basically a complete lie just to, win the next election, and I think it's completely pathetic. It really, really, really,
Mm.
it really is pathetic. And
And
I think your viewers would like to know exactly what's going on. And I mean, I always watch the show. It's a great show.
oh, thank you.
But the point is, you have. I think that I mean, there is a statement from the United States. I'm just sorry. I'm trying to find it. No, is it here? But is there any questions you would like to ask me?
I don't know. I suppose. I mean, that's the main point. It's. I'm sure it's quite obvious to yourself as well that, as we've sort of put together here, it's very much a, um, plot to boost the polls. I mean, there's not really much else to say. I mean, the other thing as well I've noticed as well, um, they've just commissioned the Rifles Regiment within the British Armed Forces, so it's growing. They've got
Yeah.
three. I know they've got four regiments in the army now, which is quite unusual because normally there was sort of the unspoken rule of three because of numbers. You've got three infantry regiments as well. Technically four if you count the Royal Marines, but that's Navy. But which they usually would be avoided because of duplication of roles, and then there's a lot of infighting between commanding officers over who gets who, and recruitment and everything. But it does seem interesting that they've just commissioned a new infantry regiment, like just before declaring this, and obviously
Yeah.
there is, should we say, positive relations between army leadership and the government, I'm sure. Um, and it'll be interesting as well because they will very much be going for the personnel vote, as if you are in the military, a national crisis or emergency which requires you to have to leap into action is always a lot of fun.
But
I
look,
remember
William,
I'd
William,
absolutely
can I
love to.
just ask
Yeah.
if you agree that this whole thing could possibly be a publicity stunt? Do you think other members of the military in the United Kingdom will listen to the Prime Minister and will follow orders, or is this going to just be, sir, yes, sir, we're going to Northern Ireland?
No, they'll be up for it. I mean, from my experience, whenever we went to war with anyone, it would always be, oh great, we're going on deployment. It's just fun. So I think he's trying to. That will be one of the voting groups he'll be trying to get over as well. Will be the military voting group. I mean, anyone that sort of if that within there that has an interest in sort of politics and can see the bigger picture will, um, you know,
But
probably
William,
think
even though this
otherwise.
war
But
could just be a publicity stunt, you, you still think they've got?
yeah, definitely, definitely. I mean, without a doubt,
It's
they'll
very
be wanting to
concerning.
go. They'll be all
But
fired up
look,
for
if
action, planning out.
if war does come, I will be serving my country as fighting for Ireland, because I believe that what this country likes to do is demonize Irish people and then continually just go after them. And look, Michael Rothschild might be you know trying to get political coverage, but if it comes to war, I will be serving my country.
Hmm. Yeah, no, it'll be interesting to see where things go. I mean, I think war, given his statement of Western Britain, as he put, is inevitable, unfortunately. And the fact
Provocative.
he's put his government threat level, UK threat level up to critical. Obviously, that means an attack is highly likely in the future. Now, at the moment, I mean, I don't know, but I don't think Ireland is highly likely to, you know, initiate anything against the UK. Now, if the British Armed Forces were to launch, an offensive attack on Ireland, I'm sure it would be met with an offensive attack from Ireland as well, going back the other way from the Northern Ireland War 3 years ago. That was how it would work. You would, the British, we would go up through the border, we would start making our way across Ireland towards the IDF base, and then if we weren't there, or if we were dropping in numbers, the Irish would try and push back, and they'd push us back towards our base. That was how it would work. It'd be like an ongoing thing between the borders,
Yeah.
and they would make attacks on each other, and civilians would die. Irish, British, everyone got caught in there. There was a lot of paramilitary involvement as well. In fact, the Rothschilds themselves, and well, not really the Rothschilds, because they weren't that at the time, but the the sort of unionists of the time, conservatives, I think it was back then. They would hop on there and they'd get the rifles, and over the border they'd go. Everyone, politicians, soldiers, everyone was off fighting, but it was
Well,
sort
look,
of a
I think,
flip-flop attack. Yeah.
this entire thing is so embarrassing that our two nations are fighting over the prime minister just having a bad day. I
Mm.
mean, honestly, he needs to understand and get a wake-up call that he can't just unilaterally change the threat level, even though there's no posing threat from Ireland or Northern Ireland. He just makes it up. I mean, honestly, I didn't vote for Michael M. Rothschild. I didn't vote for him. And
No.
yet now he is basically going to declare war on Ireland because he just wants a publicity boost. It is criminal.
Mm.
It's criminal.
No, definitely. I think it's quite obvious. I mean, at least with the last war we had, there was an element of justification behind it. I found the Irish people at the time very annoying. I think most people did, but this time it's just a person. It's just he wants to boost his polls, and he's like, "Oh, here we go." And I mean, if it
Yeah.
sounds like he's done it before, or the Rothschilds have done it before over the summer whilst I was
Harold
out in the
Rothschild
UK.
did this in July. Now Michael Rothschild is doing this in November.
Mm.
I mean,
It's
it's the same old story,
yeah,
same old tactic.
yeah, definitely. It's there's no, like, if you're not fighting for a reason, then you're just going for the sake of it, aren't you? There's
I
no.
mean, but the fact that he's
It's
blaming Ireland for everything.
mm,
Look, I'm not going to say that Leah hasn't provoked him too, because she's wearing, Free Ireland shirts to every PMQs in the gallery. Because I've
oh,
seen it. I've
I
seen it.
see.
But
Yeah,
yeah, but look, I think it's both of their fault. They need to come to the table. I will be calling a motion of no confidence against her, and well, hopefully I'll get support from that. But I think she needs to go.
yeah. No, I think what has occurred is that, if you get two conflicting leaders who are very ideologically different and are very
Arrogant.
rooted within their own interests. I mean, I don't know much about Leah, but judging from what you've told me, I've already got the whole personality figured out.
She's nuts.
I've come
She's
across
nuts.
many of those before. She's like, like one of those very, annoying.
She's a 15-year-old nationalist that, when the
15.
budget
Wow.
didn't include Northern Ireland, she just went to the Soc Dems and whined and whined and whined.
Oh, wow. Okay, that's like the youngest leader I've heard for some.
Yeah, I
Actually,
mean, look, I think it's incompetent. It's
mm,
incompetent. The actual gall of her to just, she made her speech saying, I think I have it here. Would you like me to read it?
yeah. Go ahead.
To the people of Ireland, tonight I am addressing you in the light of a deeply troubling statement issued earlier today by the British government announcing its withdrawal from the July agreement. The agreement, though only a few months old, represented an important step forward. It was a foundation for dialogue, stability, and mutual respect between Ireland and the United Kingdom. It was a promise that both nations would work together in good faith to preserve peace on our shared island. The decision taken in London is reckless and unjustified. The British government has not only abandoned a commitment to peace, it has chosen to inflame tensions through threats, insults, and acts of provocation. The language used in their statement is beneath. Shall I continue?
Yeah. No, sorry about that, my sister.
No problem.
Yeah, no, sorry about that. My sister just came out. Anyway, I did meet the show, but I forgot to meet you on Discord. Anyway, no,
Yeah.
continue.
The language used in their statement is beneath the dignity and democratic government. It has attempted to divide and intimidate. It will not succeed. Ireland remains steadfast in its commitment of peace and cooperation. We will not respond to aggression with aggression. Excuse me. We will respond with unity, resolve, and a clear dedication to protecting our sovereignty, our democracy, and our people. Our national security agencies and defense forces are on alert and fully prepared. The National Security Committee has raised the national threat level to severe as precaution, not as a signal of fear, but as a demonstration of responsibility and readiness. And to you, the people of Ireland, I speak to now from the heart. I am your Taoiseach, and I am your servant. I will always stand with you. I will stand between you and any force that seeks to diminish our sovereignty or divide our communities. I pledge to fight for your safety, your rights, and your future with every tool of statecraft at my disposal. I will stand up to imperialism in all of its forms, and I will defend our democracy and our dignity and the right to determine our own destiny. Ireland is a proud and peaceful democratic nation. We will protect that peace. We will protect our people. We will not be drawn into conflict with those who chose politics over principle.
Hmm. Yeah. So. Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. Interesting.
I will admit
Um,
it's a good statement,
it's
but
a
I
good
just think
statement. Yeah. Yeah. It's not bad. I mean, it's a very like I don't really know, sort of generic. I love Ireland kind of statement, but um, yeah, it's put together, I guess. But I
well
can
look Andrew,
definitely,
I have to go
yeah, no
unfortunately, but
worries.
it's been an honor and privilege. Fuck me.
No, it's been good to have you on
But,
here. I'm sure there will be opportunities to come on again. So if you're ever interested in doing so, or have anything you'd like to do, let
oh
me know. But
absolutely.
um,
Absolutely.
there we go. It's been good to have you on. For anyone just tuning in now, by the way, who's been here wondering who the hell was that? That was Mr. Bruce, is May 22, who is a former Solidarity MP. He was removed from the party for threatening to sabotage it um, because he left the game twice because his computer crashed, and is also a opposition senator within the Republic of Ireland Senate. So yeah, so the sort of conclusion then of what we agreed there, or sort of what we alluded to there, was many believe or including myself, believe that this is merely a publicity stunt from the Prime Minister to increase his dropping polls. And sort of target specifically the sort of nationalist, patriotic vote in sort of a national emergency situation, which, from previous experiences, like we heard from Harold Rothschild doing it earlier over the summer, and also from 2 years ago with the Northern Ireland War at the time. Again, context being a little bit different, I think that was more justified than this, but still, the results of it was a popularity boost, and it's being repeated again this time. So I think it's quite obvious that this is not a war of much, necessity or justification. It's a sort of falling out between two very radically different characters, and um, of failing government trying to boost its polls. I mean, we've had so many, um, you know, people trying to, or so many resignations from the government or reshuffles. There was a recent reshuffle lately, which resulted in a big shake-up. Like I didn't look into it fully, but it does appear that the government is on the decline, and it's doing anything it can to try and improve its approval ratings. Anyway, with that, that's sort of everything I wanted to talk about tonight. Obviously, we've analysed the whole situation. We've been running for about an hour now, which is a lot longer than the last airing of this show. But it's been good. We've obviously had our speaker on for quite some time. If you would like to speak on Williams TV in the future, please feel free to join the server and drop me a DM. or give me a ping and let me know if you'd like to come on at some point. We'll always bring happy to bring speakers on. But with that, thank you all for watching tonight. We've analysed events going on within Ireland and the ultimate root cause of it all, which we believe is a publicity stunt. So thank you all for watching. Stay tuned and make sure to drop in next time. With that, good night and thank you. Bye.